Hello everyone, welcome to From the Star Wars Home Video Library. I'm your host Nathan P. Butler. This time we look at something that is a UK equivalent of something we have seen from the US, and in doing so, we will be also setting up the next episode where we look at an exclusive version of these that have no US equivalent, all of which are a little bit different than the US product. You may recall that after being released individually in 2001, 2002, and 2005, the prequel trilogy finally got a DVD box set in the US in 2008. As for the original trilogy, it had had a box set in 2004 and in 2005, which was essentially the 2004 one without the bonus disc. Then in 2006, there were individual releases that added a new bonus disc for each film, which included the so-called unaltered edition, which really wasn't. We've talked about that before. But then there really wasn't a box set in 2006 unless you count the collector's tin you could get at Best Buy to keep them in, but no sort of official regular box set. So the first time that the 2006 releases got a box set was in 2008 alongside the prequel trilogy. And we had two sort of matching sets, which in the US used a slipcover over three slim cases. The prequel one was this. We've seen these before. Notice here, of course, we've got the logo, the film logos, the THX stuff and whatnot. It does say widescreen at the top. Now, why does it say widescreen at the top? These films had been released in both widescreen and full screen in the United States in their previous incarnations, but not here. These new box sets were widescreen only, but I guess from the standpoint of trying to make sure it was clear, they went ahead and put widescreen on there, perhaps because of the confusion that might be caused thinking these were just repackages, which they were, of previous releases, which they were, which might have been available in both formats, which they were not. Okay? So it says widescreen up at the top because that had been an option in the US. There was our spine. The back was essentially identical to the front as we saw. We had the logo on the top, the film information on the bottom, but the side was how we accessed the discs. Again, this was a slip cover. So inside, we had the three slim cases that had the three films in it. But if you were seeing this on a shelf in a store, there was a little cardboard piece here that's essentially the same as the other spine that would be in the shrink wrap on top of this opening. Then, of course, on the back, you would have something like this, right? Your tech specs and all that kind of stuff about it while it's sitting on the shelf, but then as soon as you got home, you peel it off with some of that booger glue, that PSA pressure-sensitive adhesive, hopefully not leaving any marks like what happened on the Skywalker Saga set from Best Buy for a lot of folks in the US, and you wound up with this with the two effectively identical sides. And the same type of thing existed for the original trilogy. That was this. Again, says widescreen, but a similar setup. Inside you had the three slim cases, but again, all accessed through a slipcover open side on store shelves, your little cardboard piece, and the little slip that goes on the back. So you could have been forgiven in the US if you had seen these on store shelves with their little cardboard piece and thought that rather than a slipcover, this was like a box of some kind, and that you were going to have to open the top or the bottom or a side or something to be able to get to the discs inside. But no, they were slipcovers, which is a much nicer, more convenient way of getting to the discs. Although, that also means that picking these up, you have to be careful, because if you pick them up like this, you're going to see them sliding out to fall onto the floor or wherever you happen to be. So, more convenient, but not quite as easy for travel-friendly, whatever you want to call it, because of the open side. Now, the UK got these as well. They tended to have equivalents of the stuff that we saw in those previous years, as we've seen before. Whether it was looking at the different versions, regular and exclusive versions from 2004, the family pack or the value pack, the limited edition pack, whatever you want to call it, from 2005, and the stuff from 2006, including seeing a collector's tin from over there as well. They also got those 2008 boxed sets, though in their case, it was essentially literally boxed sets. We're going to take a look at those this time. That is our primary focus. Next time, we are going to be taking a look at a pair of HMV exclusive versions of these. And I should note here, by the way, that these are things that I acquired through Jeff Rabjohn's. Basically, for this regular pair of 2008 releases. He found a really nice auction of sealed copies, which of course I've opened since getting them, but a pair of sealed copies that only shipped inside the UK. So he picked them up, and I reimbursed him for that in the shipping, and he sent them my way, which is becoming a fairly smooth process of getting them here, actually in a relatively fast period of time compared to what I guess some eBayers use, which has worked out well. This is the Prequel Trilogy from 2008 from the UK. You notice some differences from the US, no widescreen at the top. Why not? Because they were only available in widescreen since their inception in the UK when it came to DVD. So there's no need for any of the UK DVDs in any of the releases to differentiate between widescreen and full screen. It was widescreen only, no need to put it here. Granted, in the US, yeah, it was widescreen only and said widescreen, but that was probably because of the confusion that might have erupted thanks to previously having them available in both formats. Then we got our same imagery, same titles and all that kind of stuff on here, THX stuff, but kind of squeezed here. Or I guess not super squeezed. There is some dead space on either side of the US version, but on either side of that THX that appears to be squeezed, although I guess it probably isn't, you have your UK and Irish ratings. Now, UK and Irish ratings require more information than what is on a typical American release in terms of what is actually on the packaging. So, when you look at the back is actually different than the front. Same up here, no episode numbers, no THX stuff, and instead we have the two different sets of ratings and why. A little holographic sort of authenticity thing here. Copy protection information here, website information here, and your UPC. So from the back, they do not look quite the same, though you can still, of course, tell what product it is you're looking at. The top is, again, the logo. The bottom, again, has your information about the film names, but it's all laid out in a different way with different icons and whatnot appropriate to a given region. The spine now must include the rating stuff. So Lucasfilm, the Trilogy logo, the films with their logos, right, the name with the Roman numeral. Then we have 20th Century Fox Home Entertainment, THX, product number, ratings, and DVD video. And effectively the same thing there on the other side. When this is on store shelves, by the way, you would see a slip, kind of like the US version of the slip, in here, but notice this has two sides, and neither of these is a tearaway piece, right? Whether it's this side or this side, looking from the front here, these are actually solid sides. It's a box. It's not a slipcover. It's a straight-up box. On store shelves, what you'll find is because of the way that it's designed so that the flap kind of from the front folds up, it's folding down then in the back, so that's where your opening is. This little piece here has an extra piece of paper that essentially slides into that little spot so it hangs from the back. If you push it all the way down, which I'm not going to do because I'm going to wind up bending it if I do here, it would just sit across the back of the packaging while on the store shelves. But yeah, it's not a slipcover. It's a flippin' box. Open it from the top, open it from the bottom. Doesn't really matter. I'm going to open this one, I guess, from the top. I don't like opening boxes like these, though, because when you open them, you tend to crease, like I just did. You tend to crease this top flap. Kind of annoys me when you have to do that with packaging, but I guess as long as it's hidden when it's closed, it's not a big deal. But then inside, you have the UK equivalents of the slim cases in clear cases. We've seen these discs before, so I don't feel like we need to see them again in detail. The slim cases are essentially just slimmed versions with not for resale or not for individual sale versions of the original packaging and discs. If I can spin these around, might have some broken tabs here holding them in. No inserts, of course. Attack of the Clones. Not going to spin all these discs around. You know what they look like. Revenge of the Sith. One's marked not for rental. Okay. All those in a single package, which on its package, by the way, had this little label that I've now stuck to cardstock, which says, available for the first time as a 6-disc set, which is true. It took until 2008. Includes exclusive deleted scenes, George Lucas commentary, and much more. That was the prequel trilogy. Original trilogy gets a similar approach. Again, a real boxed set here. Similar design there, with your ratings that are required. Similar design for the back, with the rating required information there. Similar spines that have a similar design to the US, but shuffle things a little bit to make sure that the ratings can get on there. Top and bottom, again, similar design to the prequels, but it is a box. Gonna have to open it, which means, again, at least a slight crease to the top. That's why I don't like box designs. I much prefer slipcovers. And inside you have A New Hope. It's got all kinds of little plastic pieces from the prongs just falling out from being cracked and broken off during transport here. Probably during transport to Jeff, given how old these are. Blinkety blinkety. There we go. Okay. And then as far as packaging goes, again, once it's on the store shelves, you've got this thing with the extra flap, and it just slides onto the back under the shrink wrap with no need for booger glue. This one, by the way, did not have one of those little stickers that says, like, first time blah, blah, blah kind of thing, because, you know, it wasn't. It was the first time those 2006 releases were put into a box set outside of a collector's tin, but, you know, there have been box sets of the original trilogy twice before, at least for DVD, so didn't need that. So the UK versions, as compared to the US versions, they are similar in their design. The backs in particular are different because of the necessity of the stuff for the UK. The spines are similar, but again shifted because of the necessity of the UK. But one side, being a slipcover opening, makes all the difference for the US version from an accessibility standpoint, whereas for the UK, when they said these would be box sets, these are boxed sets. You could, I guess, call these from the US sets, but I guess you couldn't call them boxed sets, could you? Because even when in the shrink wrap, that wasn't a real end of the box. It's definitely a slipcover for the US. So I do like the US design better, but I must say, I was really kind of surprised to find that the UK versions were actual boxes. And I found that others in the collecting community who are from the UK have been surprised to find that the US ones were slipcovers. So each side seems to have thought, at least within the Star Wars Home Video Collecting group on Facebook, have sort of assumed that the other side of the pond did things their way because they look so similar from the front, when it turns out that, no, they are significantly different packaging here in terms of at least their physical design. Interesting. Graphic design similar, but physical design very different. And how did I find out about this? I picked up the exclusives we're going to look at in the next episode, and they were like this as well, which shocked me, at which point I asked about it, and the answer was, wait, yeah, the other ones were like that too. Weren't the ones in America? No, they weren't. A little bit of an interesting dynamic here between the two sides of the pond in 2008. But we will take a look at those exclusives in the next episode coming from HMV. With that, we'll wrap up this episode. My thanks to Jeff, and thank you for watching. May the Force be with the home video viewers.